සුපිරි අධිවේගයක් පරදා ඔබ මවිත කරවන වේගයක් විඳ ගන්න. පියවර තුනකින් ශ්‍රී ලංකා ටෙලිකොම් ෆයිබර් ඔප්ටික් ජාලයට එක්වන්න. slp.lk වෙත පිවිසෙන්න.
Making headlines on First at 9. In defiant determination, President Maithripala Sirisena says he will go ahead with the implementation of death penalty, come what may. Service expansion. Indian Premier joins Prime Minister Wickremesinghe via video conference in launching island-wide expansion of emergency ambulance service.
You have consolidated our free health service.
Namaskar, Ayubawan.
It is a must. Japanese Ambassador Kenichi Suganuma reminds that stable policies are vital for Sri Lanka to attract foreign direct investment.
Relation between Japan and Sri Lanka has been always good.
Record-breaking. Army Sergeant Hettiarachchi sets new world record in men's javelin at National Para-Athletics Championships. Setback for May. United Kingdom sets up Brexit battle with EU over Irish border. A very good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Katharina Chang. Now on to top story tonight. President Maithripala Sirisena today reiterated that amidst obstacles, the death penalty will be implemented on those convicted and imprisoned, but still involved in drug trafficking from prisons. The head of state said this addressing a ceremony to commence construction work of the National Nephrology Hospital in Polonnaruwa, which is being built as a gift from China at a cost of 1.2 billion rupees. The National Nephrology Hospital in Polonnaruwa is being built as the largest kidney hospital in South Asia at a cost of 1.2 billion rupees, fulfilling a long-term aspiration of the President to provide services for kidney patients. The hospital consists of a 200-bed ward complex, OPD with 100 dialysis machines and 6 modern operation theatres. The project is expected to be completed within 24 months and operational by July 2020.
The Chinese ambassador visited me in Colombo 2 weeks ago and conveyed that he had a gift for us. When I inquired, he said that 2 billion yuan from the Chinese president will be gifted to be utilized as I wish. He added that the project report was required within a week. I will hand over the report next week to build a house of the same model within all electorates of the country. I also saw the weekend newspapers an article that the government is going to halt implementing the death penalty. That is completely false. Whatever obstacle come our way, we will implement the death penalty against drug racketeers. I have convened heads of all relevant institutions to discuss the matter on Tuesday. I will appoint a committee which will be decided on whom the death penalty must be implemented on. There are several obstacles for us to implement this, but those who oppose have never done anything to control the issue. We will not change the decision. Another weekend newspaper says that army camps in the north are being rapidly removed. This is also another lie. Army camps are established when a war is ongoing, and that is temporary. When the war is over, we can't keep those camps.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe expressed his gratitude to his Indian counterpart Prime Minister Narendra Modi for consolidating the free health service in Sri Lanka by granting the Suvasari emergency ambulance service. Connecting via satellite during the inauguration of the second phase of Suvasari emergency ambulance service in Jaffna, the Indian Premier Modi declared this event as a major achievement in the development partnership between India and Sri Lanka.
Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi joined Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe through live video conference from New Delhi for the launch of the island-wide expansion of 1990 Suvasari emergency ambulance service in Jaffna today.
This event marks another major achievement in the development partnership of India and Sri Lanka. I am also happy that this phase of expansion begins with the northern province. India is happy to work together with you for wiping tears from the past and ushering in a bright future. It is not just a coincidence that India had the privilege to be Sri Lanka's partner in establishing this first responder service and in its expansion. In good times and bad, India will always be the first responder for Sri Lanka. When I look at Sri Lanka, I see not only a neighbor, I see a very special and trusted partner of India in South Asia. I believe that our development cooperation with Sri Lanka is an important means for translating our vision of shared progress into reality.
Mr. Prime Minister, you have consolidated our free health service. Both India and Sri Lanka have a sizable segment of our population who are poor and who depend on the services that the government provides in the social sector. We have a free hospital system, but this gives us a free ambulance system, and that in fact has expanded the health service in this country. As India expands, you also have your issues of combating poverty, but nevertheless, you have not forgotten the neighborhood. And we in this neighborhood has a unique relationship with you. I don't think any other country in the world can match it. Our two countries have sustained the democratic institutions from after the war, and that's a fairly long achievement for Asia. I don't think any other country can match our records. Whatever turbulent times we had, whatever ups and downs we had, the legislature has functioned, and we have upheld the individual freedoms of the people. Your Excellency, let me congratulate you for defeating a motion of no confidence. Just to say that I had the same experience just a few months ago.
A protest was organised today by civil activists, politicians and locals opposing the removal of the Galle International Cricket Stadium. General Secretary of the United People's Freedom Alliance, Minister Mahinda Amaraweera, says they will ensure that the decision is reversed. However, Minister of Home Affairs Wajira Abeyewardene is of the same stance that the stadium is in illegal construction.
It was debated in Parliament yesterday that the Galle Fort risks being removed from the UNESCO World Heritage Site list due to the Galle International Cricket Stadium's Mahinda Rajapaksa Pavilion being an illegal construction. Locals, politicians and civil activists took to streets today, claiming that the government is attempting to remove the stadium from the Galle Fort. Protesters began their demonstration near the main entrance to the grounds and marched towards the Mahinda Rajapaksa Pavilion in question.
මොකද අපි ක්‍රිකට් පිස්සෝ අපිට තියෙන මේක විතරයි ගාල්ලට ග්‍රවුන්ඩ් එකකට දේශපාලනේ නෑ මෙතන අපට ඕන ක්‍රිකට් පැවිලියන් එක අයින් කරොත් හැබැයි ජාත්‍යන්තර තරගයක මීඩියා කවරේජ් එකක්වත් දී ගන්න අපිට බැරිනේ එතකොට මේක ජාත්‍යන්තර තරගයක් ගාල්ලට එන්නේ නෑ කවදාකවත් ගාල්ලෝ ක්‍රිකට් අපිට ඕනේ ගාල්ලෝ මීඩියා අපිට ඕනේ.
In the meantime, General Secretary of the United People's Freedom Alliance, Minister Mahinda Amaraweera, expressed views about the issue.
ක්‍රිකට් පිටියක් අලුතෙන් හදන්න ඕන නම් වෙනම හදපුවා. ගාල්ල ක්‍රීඩාංගණය සම්පූර්ණ හෙඩ් පිටින් ගෙනියවට අපේ විරෝධය අපි ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා විතරක් නෙමෙයි. ඒක ආපස්සට හරවලා ඒක නතර කරන්න අපි මේ රජය තුල කටයුතු කරනවා කියන එක නමුනාසලට කියනවා.
In the meantime, in his communique yesterday, Minister of Home Affairs Wajira Abeyewardene said that the Galle International Ground will not be moved, but measures will be taken to remove the illegal construction of the pavilion at the Galle Stadium.
Chairman of the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumuna, Professor G.L. Peiris, assures that his party is firmly resolved to bring about an atmosphere in which all communities would reconcile and live in harmony. Speaking at the 22nd Annual General Meeting of the Muslim Media Forum in Colombo today, he added that the party looks at past mishaps through a self-critical eye to ensure its reoccurrence is avoided.
If you think of our own country and the ideas about reconciliation, which Mr. Amin articulated a few moments ago, I want to ask you the question, how do we set about it in the political sphere? You know, the idea is to emphasize the things that we share in common rather than the things that divide us. Shared values, practices, tradition. So we must not focus on the divergences, rather on the things that we all share together. Now, is it really necessary to have political parties specifically representing particular communities? So the point I'm making is that both in the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and in the United National Party, there are Muslims who have been able, on their merits, to reach the highest position. What then is the compelling need to carve out a party that is exclusively, it has the indelible imprint of a Muslim party? Is that helpful? Because empirical experience shows, demonstrates in the fullest possible measure that the national parties are capable of accommodating, giving expression to Muslim interests. In Sri Lanka, I'm really very hopeful. I'm convinced that there are solutions to our problems. The situation is by no means hopeless. The reason for this cautious optimism is the fact that at the village level, at the grassroots level, the Sinhalese, the Muslims live in total harmony. Period of office of the Rajapaksa government, Mr. Amin said there were some incidents which were unfortunate. Now, we are not adopting the attitude that nothing went wrong. That is not our attitude. We are revisiting some of these issues in a critical spirit, self-criticism, turning the searchlight inwards, asking ourselves what we could have done better. And I assure you, in all candor, in all honesty, that we are firmly resolved to bring into being in this country an atmosphere in which all of us, we will be able to live deriving the fullest satisfaction from our national life. That all Muslims will have the undoubted right to practice their religion, to have physical security for themselves, their families, their homes, to engage in business, commercial activities.
Let's take a look at other stories making news across Sri Lanka.
The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption today has arrested a controller of the Department of Import and Export Control while soliciting a bribe. The official had allegedly requested a bribe of 200,000 rupees from a businessman in Valigama to provide a report containing recommendations necessary to import 2 vehicles from Japan. He is remanded until the 30th of July. A program to clean the Beira Lake got underway today, jointly organised by the Colombo Municipal Council and a non-governmental organisation. Chief incumbent of the Gangarama Temple at Hunupitiya, Venerable Galagoda Gnanissara Thera, Colombo Mayor Rosi Senanayake and several others participated in the event. Police arrested a youth with 20 grams of heroin in his possession while he was travelling in a luxury bus on the Southern Expressway. The Fraud Prevention Bureau of Mathura Police said that the heroin is valued at 6 million rupees. The suspect will be produced before the Mathura magistrate. A parcel containing 28 gold biscuits worth almost 20 million rupees was found behind a water dispenser at the Bandaranaike International Airport. The gold biscuits, each weighing 116 grams, had been packed in 2 empty cigarette packets. A model question paper prepared by the Zonal Education Department of the Central Province for Grade 5 scholarship examination was found full of errors. Students from the Central Province who had attempted to answer the paper and teachers who monitored the process faced great inconvenience today.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Welcome back to the news. Ambassador of Japan Kenichi Suganuma says that stable policies will be vital if Sri Lanka is to further improve the prevailing business climate. He adds that such a favourable investment environment will encourage foreign companies to expand to Sri Lanka. He expressed these views at the opening of Sri Lanka's first solar panel manufacturing plant in Katunayake today. The country's first solar panel manufacturing plant was declared open under the auspices of Japanese Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Kenichi Suganuma, Minister of Power and Renewable Energy Ranjit Siambalapitiya, and State Minister of Power and Renewable Energy Ajit P. Pereira this morning. Japanese-Sri Lanka Friendship Corporation, a board of investment company, invested 5 billion rupees into the project and will provide employment to over 200 personnel, with the plan expected to generate 200 megawatt of power annually. Ambassador of Japan Kenichi Suganuma commented on the country's investment climate at the event.
As you know, Japanese investments always come for long term. This is not just a quick investment and you take profit and you go. The relation between Japan and Sri Lanka has been always good, but since the new government started 3 years ago, we have been trying to revitalize the relations. And we have worked in many areas in trying to improve the investment climate of Sri Lanka, in trying to attract Japanese investment. But I'm very glad to see that the part of promotion of investment is starting to give result. Of course, we hope that there will be some more improvement in the investment climate. Companies also need stability of policy. They also need to be followed up, supported in clearing the government approval.
The central bank says the deficit in the trade account continued to expand at a comparatively slower rate in May 2018 as export growth outpaced import growth. Earnings from merchandise exports increased by 9.8% to $924 million in May, mainly driven by industrial exports despite a reduction recorded in agricultural exports. Meanwhile, expenditure on merchandise imports increased to over $1.8 billion owing to high expenditure incurred on fuel and vehicle imports. The level of gross official reserves, meanwhile, declined to $8.8 billion compared to the historic high level of $9.9 billion at end April 2018, primarily due to a periodic payment for the obligation at the Asian Clearing Union, repayment of syndicated loans and Sri Lanka development bonds during the month. Chairman of the Vehicle Importers Association of Sri Lanka, Ranjan Piris, applauds the government's decision to introduce Euro 4 standard to the local market, calling it an effort that will curtail importation of substandard vehicles into the country. Convening a media briefing, the association said now it will only import vehicles that are compatible with Euro 4 emission standard.
It's like this now, you've got to comply with the standards that have been recommended by the authorities. So if it is less than Euro 4, you will not be able to import them. It has to be either Euro 4 or above that. I think 99% of the vehicles that comes from Japan will be definitely above Euro 4. I should say even 100%. They don't manufacture anything below Euro 4 standards now.
Responding to journalists, Ranjan Piris added that by requiring imported vehicles to be compatible with Euro 4 emission standard, vehicle imports from India will not be impacted but will rather act as a mechanism to ensure better quality vehicles.
Now getting back to some of our local news now, Parliamentarian M.A. Sumandaran convened a media briefing today in response to a statement made by MP Dasiri Jayasekara during the parliamentary session held last Thursday. Parliamentarian Dasiri Jayasekara claimed that a draft of the new constitution has been secretly prepared by 3 people, giving power to remove a president from his position through the union of the country's Prime Minister, Speaker and the opposition leader.
6 people have signed while 3 have been among a group of 10 people. The draft has been prepared by Parliamentarian Jampati Wickramaratne, Parliamentarian M.A. Sumandaran and Suren Fernando for the first time. The President can be removed if the Prime Minister, Speaker and the opposition leader unite. How can 3 people draft such a constitution that was prepared by the Parliament? We are not ready to prepare this constitution according to the people's political agenda. Parliamentarian Dasri informed the Parliament that there is a clause in the new constitution regarding the removal of the President. Me, together with Jampati and Suren, were accused of secretly preparing this draft with the intention of chasing the President. We went through the report after the claims, and the suggestion of the Committee of 6 was to remove executive powers. There is a clause to remove the President who possesses no executive powers and if he cannot continue to be in the position to health or psychological issues. One way is to decide, that is the union of the Prime Minister, opposition leader and the Speaker deciding the President ineligible for the position. However, it has been proposed for a system where there is no executive power. Therefore, this is a proposal of the Technical Committee. Therefore, the Steering Committee should study the report.
A special program to drive the United National Party for a victorious path under the project Bringing the UMP to the Village took place in Kurunagar today, chaired by Party General Secretary Minister Akila Viraj Karyavasam. Addressing the event, Minister Karyavasam said that measures will be taken to assure the victory for the UMP and in both upcoming provincial council and presidential elections.
අපි ඊළඟ මැතිවරණ ජයග්‍රහණය කිරීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ඒ වගේම ගම්මට්ටමින් එන ආණ්ඩුවෙන් එන ප්‍රතිලාභ පිළිබඳව ඒ වගේම මේ කරන වැඩපිළිවෙළ පිළිබඳව මේ සියල්ල පිළිබඳව අපි සාකච්ඡා කරලා ස්ථීර වශයෙන්ම ඊළඟ පළාත් සභා මැතිවරණයත් ජනාධිපතිවරණයත් ජයග්‍රහණය කරන්න පුළුවන්කම තියෙනවා. පළාත් පාලන මැතිවරණය අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන ඕනම අවස්ථාවකදී ඒ කියන්නේ ඒ මැතිවරණ කොමසාරිස්වරයා විසින් ප්‍රකාශනපත් කරන්න ඕනේ. අපිට එන ඕනම අවස්ථාවකදී පළාත් සභා මැතිවරණයට අපිට මුහුණ දෙන්න පුළුවන්.
In the meantime, Minister Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca expressed views on the upcoming presidential election.
අපේක්ෂකයයි අපේ පක්ෂ නායකයා අපේ පක්ෂ නායකතුමා ඉල්ලන්න ඕනේ කියන මතය තමයි මම ඉන්න පොදු අපේක්ෂකයෝ නම් ඉන්න පළාතක අපි නම් වේදිකාව කරන්න ගින්නේ නැහැ. ඊපාර නම් අපි නැග්ගා මාන්සි වුණා. නම් පොදු අපේක්ෂක වෙනුවෙන් අපි අඬන ගන්න යන්නේ.
National Organizer of the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumuna, former Minister Basil Rajapaksha, requests people to await a regime change in the near future. He made these comments addressing a seminar held at Warakapola today.
As a result of the regime change in the village that took place recently, Ranil Wickremesinghe had come to the villages. He himself says that the economy has collapsed. Death penalty has now been the talk of the town. Earlier, they harped about wielding the swords and now the death penalty. That's how the country has lost its freedom.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
British Prime Minister Theresa May has told the European Union that the UK will not accept its proposals to deal with one of the thorniest issues in Brexit talks, the issue of the Irish border. In a speech in Belfast yesterday, May criticised the EU's backstop plan, whereby Northern Ireland would remain closely tied to European regulations after Britain leaves the bloc, in the event of the two sides failing to reach an agreement on a future relationship. The proposal is intended to avoid a hard border between Northern Ireland, which will leave the EU, as part of the UK, and the Republic of Ireland, which remains in the bloc. May has proposed instead that any backstop should apply to the whole of the UK. Meanwhile, analysts say that British Prime Minister Theresa May will have to face a leadership contest when the Parliament returns after its summer break. After a 12-hour debate in the Lok Sabha or lower house of Indian Parliament yesterday, a no-confidence motion against the National Democratic Alliance government led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi was defeated as 325 lawmakers voted against it and 126 for it. Before the vote, Modi attacked Congress President Rahul Gandhi, stating that the no-confidence motion against his government was not a test for him but for the Congress and its newfound allies.
Speaker of the Indian Parliament Sumitra Mahajan tabled the motion for a voice vote first, after which she ruled that the Treasury benchers have won the poll. Following this, the division vote was recorded with the help of automatic vote recording system. The Modi government sailed through the vote with 325 votes. The opposition gathered 126 votes against the government. The heated debate saw much of the drama as the opposition parties surrounded the ruling party from all sides. Earlier in the day, Indian opposition leader Rahul Gandhi created a flutter in Parliament, giving Prime Minister Narendra Modi a surprise hug during a heated debate and said he had nothing but love for his bitter political foe. During his speech, Modi attacked the opposition and said that in reality, it was Gandhi's trial for support from his allies in the opposition for 2019 nationwide elections in the guise of the no-confidence motion.
People across Japan have been urged to take precautions against a heat wave that has killed about 30 people. Thousands more have sought hospital treatment for heat-related conditions over the past 2 weeks. Temperatures reached 40.7 Celsius in central Japan earlier this week, a 5-year nationwide peak. In the cities of Kyoto, temperature have stood above 38 degrees Celsius for 7 days in a row for the first time since records began in the 19th century. Japan's meteorological agency urged people to drink sufficient water to prevent heat exhaustion. More than 24 tornadoes ripped through Iowa on Thursday, but the severe weather didn't stop there. Severe thunderstorm warnings and watches were issued yesterday, along with tornado watches issued for the Tennessee and Ohio valleys in the United States. According to various reports, 17 persons were injured in the natural calamity. In the United States, a slew of tornadoes hit Iowa towns on Thursday, injuring at least 17 people. Marshalltown, a city of 27,000 people, was one of the hardest hit. A statement on the severe weather from the National Weather Service said the storms were prompted by a frontal system traveling in the direction of the Mississippi Valley and eventually in the direction of the Ohio Valley. According to AccuWeather, a weather pattern more typical of the middle of spring rather than the middle of summer will continue the threat of severe weather to end this week. Army Sergeant HACS Hettiarachchi sets a new world record for men's javelin in the F-44 class at the ongoing National Para-Athletic Championships 2018 held in Colombo. He threw a distance of 62.11 meters to set the new world record. Sergeant Hettiarachchi, who is attached to the Sri Lanka Army's Vijayabahu Infantry Regiment, has previously set numerous records at Army Para Games and National Para Games.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Sheila Fernando is at the Other Derana Weather Centre with your forecast first evening edition.
A very good evening to our viewers and welcome to Forecast First. Starting off with your temperatures for tomorrow that will vary between 20 and 36 degrees Celsius with the highest of 36 expected along the coastal line from Mullaitivu to Batticaloa. Well, when looking at the map, a low pressure zone will develop in the western province and will gradually disappear. Well, most parts of the island including Jaffna, Mana, Vaunia and Radhapura will experience sunny weather while the areas of Kandy, Negombo, Galle and Matara will experience showers. That's all from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
Before we go tonight, we'd like to take you to Moraine Lake, a glacially fed lake in Banff National Park located in Alberta in Canada. The lake reflects a distinctive shade of blue due to the refraction of light of the rock flow deposited in the lake on a continual basis. The setting of the surrounding magnetic mountain peaks make the scene more surreal. We hope you enjoy these visuals and have a pleasant evening.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.